right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Earnestly podcast here. Finally, a conversation for once. It's been a couple months I had a conversation with Big Jim. Who else do I get to talk to now?
Right? I mean, yeah, it's been a while since I think
On this show.
we've done one of these.
Well, you've been on Take 3 quite often the last couple months.
Yeah, I was practically the fourth member there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It's funny. The Bret Hart episode still gets me hysterical. No, it's and
we found a good place, Mike and I. I think we found a good middle ground. I think kind of the way we settled is like the more his issue kind of resides more in Bret from like a personal personality standpoint more than it does him as like a wrestler, which I can get. Bret can be abrasive with people, so I think we found a good place on that debate.
Yeah. No, so it's cool. So we want to talk a little bit on the side about some stuff. We've been planning doing a podcast for a while. Now, normally every Tuesday I'm on your show doing Huddle Up.
Correct.
This time, and this week decided to take a break from that. Why?
Yeah, I mean, look, like, so what were we going to talk about? We were going to talk about two really good games. Everybody knows they were good games. There's nothing really controversial coming out of them. Obviously there's no game this week because the Pro Bowl doesn't matter. And we're going to talk about the Super Bowl next week. So I thought, I'm not going to switch over the studio, prep a show.
How long does it take to do that, though?
What's that?
How long does it take you to do that? Switch over the studio.
I mean, it doesn't take long, but it's still just,
Is it actual physical work? Like you have to move stuff around and.
I mean, I take the flags down. I move, so I have like the money in the bank back here and the urn and the microphone. So I take that down, all the flags and stuff come down. The belt comes down.
Basically, leaving the 3 count stuff right there just to use.
Yeah. So this, it's like, I'm not gonna do all of that and whatever just to talk about 2 games that were really good and nothing really else to talk about. I mean, there is some stuff, but I don't think the newsworthy topics in the NFL this week are going to be any less newsworthy in 7 more days.
Yeah, we got a couple of things brewing though that came up today. We'll touch on this in a second. Just give me your takeaways to change the weekend. But what did we learn this weekend? What did you learn? Should I say?
I learned that if the Bengals don't get an offensive line, that Joe Burrow's career and life are going to be cut significantly shorter. No, man, the Bengals are for real. And not that we didn't know that, but it was instilled in us again. And I think we learned that the gamble that the Rams made worked. Will it ultimately work in 2 weeks? We'll see. But they made a choice a year ago when they went out and got Matthew Stafford and traded the next 4 years of first round draft picks practically on the idea that we're going to make a Super Bowl this year. And here they are. They're 60 minutes away from potentially being Super Bowl champions, and the deals they made during the season and the signings they made, Beckham, the deal for Von Miller, signing Eric Weddle when everybody else is getting hurt around you. I mean, they've been proactive in trying to make their team better throughout the year. And so far it's all paying off the way they expected it to.
Yeah.
It's and sitting here today, I think that the Rams are probably the smarter pick for next Sunday. But I mean, as we've seen, the Bengals have kind of been proving people wrong almost every week in the postseason.
I think Vegas likes the Bengals too, because the fact it's only a 4-point spread. This game's playing in LA in the Rams Stadium where they play at. By the way, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still not gonna. I mean, there will probably find ways to be more Rams fans there than Bengals fans, but in the same time, my brother and I were talking about the fact over the weekend that like you can't. These are two not great NFL markets, really, if you think about it. Cincinnati and LA don't have like a great fan base, so like I don't think like a home field advantage is going to come into play really that much for the Rams, despite maybe, the only thing that may be to their advantage is maybe some of those sight lines and things like that can sometimes get a little wonky in these new stadiums that you're not used to playing in. The Rams know where the little secret vision spots are, because they're used to playing.
There's a comfort level there to some degree. So for
yeah, but I don't think being in SoFi makes that much of a difference, especially being in an indoor. It's not like there's not anything environmental.
Any early picks for the game?
I mean, I think the smart play is probably just because of the defensive front for the Rams, and the offensive line for the Bengals. I think the smart play is probably Rams somewhere in the 5 to 12 point mark. I think they're probably just going to limit what Burrow and that offense can do because of that pass rush. But I mean, I hope the Bengals win. I have nothing. I mean, here's the deal. I got no problems either way. Either Joe Burrow and the Bengals do it, or Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald get Super Bowl rings. So nobody can lose, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. I'm in for the Bengals too, but I do think that the Stafford part, as you just mentioned, is for me anyway. Someone who has sat on the sword on a Stafford debate for years. I've had friends who are Lions fans who told me that my takes on Stafford are ridiculous, and now even this year, and now he's here.
Dude, every year I used to. There's a guy in my brother's fantasy football league that I've been in the league for over a decade. Mm-hmm. That like every year, like he would, I don't know if he would forget to draft a quarterback or whatever, and then like it came around, it was like best available really was Matt Stafford. Mm-hmm. He's like, fuck, I got to take Matt Stafford again. And I go, what the hell are you complaining about? The guy puts up 5,000 yards a season. Like the only gripe against him could be maybe interceptions, but he's still throwing easily.
He's a gunslinger.
3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio because they threw all the time. I'm like, you could do a lot worse in fantasy football than Matthew Stafford. The guy is spectacular. I've never actually done the comparison, but if you want to talk about some of the best quarterbacks over the last 15 years, and you want to put just don't even look at names, just look at numbers, I guarantee you Matt Stafford's numbers are up there with the Bradys and the Mannings and the Rodgerses and all of that, because the guy is real good, and he was with a terrible organization. Like the fact that he is doing what he's doing with the Rams, I mean, and the guy's beat up. Like, let's not like shake a stick at it. Matt Stafford is beat up. If they don't win it this year, next year, he's probably done. But he's doing it. He finally has the team around him to do it, but he's still balling, man. And that guy is, like I said, that guy's beat up, and I couldn't be happier for him that he has the chance.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, so we got the official news today about Tom Brady. He officially retired. Okay. I already spoke my piece about Tom Brady already on numerous shows and all that. Your thoughts, Brady, at the end of the road? I mean, the dude. I mean,
I'm shocked, man. Like, and I said it on Twitter. I've said it, because a lot of people after that Bucks Rams game were like, did we just see Tom Brady's? And I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure I said it on Huddle Up last week. Like, there's no way I thought that Tom Brady was going to walk away when the Bucks were that close, for as beat up and all that roster was, for the season that Brady had, and like, Kyle can go on your show, on my show, talk about how the lucky breaks always fall Tom's way. The guy at 45 is still playing better than probably 2/3 of the NFL. I'm not saying he's the number one quarterback in the league anymore, but at 45, he's playing better than guys who are literally half his age. That could literally be his kid. So like, I just really didn't think that this was going to be it. So it's going to be very strange, for there to be an NFL season sans Tom Brady. I mean, what, 22 years? I was 14 when Tom Brady wasn't in the National Football League. Like that's a long time, man. And you know, people can want to argue against greatest of all time, whatever. You know, I'm not. For me, Tom Brady, is the best as the winningest, because yeah, you can look at raw numbers, you can look at stats, you can look at breaks this way, and well, the game's different now than it was when this guy played and this guy played. But I'm like, at the end of the day, like Tom Brady and the New England Patriots and then the Buccaneers took teams that probably had no business going as deep as they did and making stars, offensive stars, out of players that you would have never heard of if they didn't play in New England. That's what Tom Brady was. So it's weird. I'm like bummed out because I never had a reason to dislike him. I loved seeing what Brady post New England was, and I wanted more of it.
Yeah.
But now I'm really curious to see what Tom Brady post NFL career is. Because we've seen him do these like televised golf tournaments, and like he's out there having fun and shit talking Charles Barkley on TNT during these golf things. So like, give me more of that, man. Give me more of Tom Brady unfiltered, like just a 45-year-old dude. Because I'm here for it. Hell, you could give me a Tom Brady reality show at this point, and I'm paying the premium price, whatever it is.
I'm bummed out. He's gone. I'm
Yeah.
really bummed out. And the thing is, like, you can argue he did go out on top, because while people say, "Oh no, not really," John Elway won a Super Bowl, and he retired after that. Yeah, but the difference is that John Elway was not John Elway on his last.
Peyton Manning wasn't Peyton Manning when he retired on
exactly. No, honestly, Tom Brady is literally in the MVP conversation right now this year. He might be MVP this year. We don't know yet. We'll see, but he might be MVP this year.
Yeah, I don't think he will be, especially because I assume that those votes were already in.
Oh no, they were in already. Yes, I'm just saying that. But he's in the conversation. Like I know when we see the tally, Tom Brady's in that top 3.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get votes for sure.
Right. I mean, 5,000 yards and 43 touchdowns, and at age 44, 45 years old. I mean, that's insane.
Insane.
I'm bummed out, man.
I mean, I was bummed when Peyton Manning retired. I mean, any time. Yeah, I'm bummed when Drew Brees retired. Like any time that the best players, especially a position as good as important to the game as a quarterback is, and as a focal point of the game as a quarterback is, anytime a legend like that leaves the game, it's a bummer as a fan, because you're literally watching, again, arguably the best at that position leave the sport. So it's a bummer as a fan. And the craziest thing is now, man, that like what is going to happen in the, and it's going to be one of these off-season topics. He's like, what's going to happen with the NFC South? Because Tampa doesn't have a quarterback. New Orleans don't have a quarterback. Is Sam Darnold really the guy in Carolina? And isn't Matt Ryan's contract up in Atlanta?
No, one more year.
One more year? So he's basically dead weight in Atlanta. So the NFC South is such an interesting case study for this offseason.
Yeah, it's going to be a very fascinating offseason. Like, where does Jimmy G go? Where does Aaron Rodgers go? Russell Wilson might be going on the move too. We'll see what happens there. There's a lot of stuff with the NFL. But you got a lot of time to talk about, in the weeks, months on various podcasts we all do and stuff. So, let's take a little swerve real quick back to WWE. The Royal Rumble was just a couple days ago. I enjoyed the event for what it was, but it was really, for me, outside maybe a few Ronda Rousey, obviously showing up and a couple other things. There weren't really any major surprises, honestly. I thought it was a good event. What are your takeaways from Rumble this year? Hey,
I thought it
what-
was super fun, man. I don't get a lot of the wrestling fan hate for the show, like all these people rating it the worst ever and this and that. I think that is ridiculous recency bias, and I think it's wrestling fans convincing themselves that something bigger was going to happen than it actually did.
right.
Like I think people had convinced themselves that Cody Rhodes or John Moxley or Chris Jericho or somebody from AEW was going to be in the men's rumble, somebody from Impact was going to be in the men's rumble. Like why would they announce Mickey James and not somebody in the men's side if there's going to be somebody from the men's side? Like
Right.
I don't get wrestling fans.
Dude, it's so weird.
It is such a strange thing, man. Like just now tonight, like it was like confirmed by Meltzer or the Observer that Brian Kendrick got his release from WWE, and AEW just announced Kendrick versus Moxley tomorrow on Dynamite, and people are
Really? Okay.
going nuts about it. And I'm not saying it won't be a good match. I'm not saying that like Brian Kendrick isn't a good wrestler, but like you come
Right.
off like what I thought was a really fun Royal Rumble that people just shat on, and now like the like AEW fans and wrestling fans are going crazy for Brian Kendrick versus John Moxley. Like, what? Like, who? I'm sorry, who gives a shit? Like, and I'm not like, why is John Moxley wrestling Brian Kendrick? It doesn't make sense to me. Like some of the things that fans like go gaga over on a Wednesday, but like will crap on like a Monday or a Friday is astounding to me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's a whole different story. The Royal Rumble. I was a little bit bummed like Bailey or Asuka didn't come out. I thought that they were set to return. Maybe they're just both not healed up enough. I think Bailey was kind of a long shot. Asuka would have been ready.
The Bailey thing is more so she's coming back in February, March. I heard. Yeah. So,
and like here's the thing, dude. Like they kayfabe injury times because like Drew McIntyre, you're talking like a neck injury. You're thinking, okay, he's probably gone to like SummerSlam. He's already back. Sasha Banks when she like twisted and she was already back. Like I don't think anybody expected either of them to be back for Mania season, much less for the Royal Rumble. So like I get it. Wrestling injuries get the timelines get a little bit skewed so that they can set up returns. But the only really like I thought like probably the worst match of the night was maybe the mixed tag, and only because it went a little bit too long.
Yeah, a little too long. I enjoyed the match though. But it was a little
fun. I think you could have cut off about 3 to 5 minutes, and it would have been much better. Unfortunately for Doudrop and Becky Lynch, you came right after the Women's Rumble, and the WrestleMania sign was on fire. So there, that kind of took away from the match. I thought they had a good match. I like Rousey winning the Royal Rumble. Like you need to sell out AT&T Stadium for 2 straight nights. I'm sorry, you weren't getting Doudrop winning the Rumble. You weren't like Bianca could have played, but you can get Bianca in a main event some way else. Like right. Ronda returning the minute Ronda's music hit, I tweeted, "There's your winner."
Yeah, because true. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I'm like, there is no way she is returning and not getting in the men's Rumble. I'm kind of surprised they did the Brock thing, because I thought the way that they did the end of the WWE title match, you didn't have to do Brock in the Rumble. Roman doing what Roman did was enough to get the Mania match. Now, again, when Brock's music hit, there's your winner.
Yeah,
there was no question it was going the other way. I have no problem with it. I have zero problem with it, because you like as you already saw with Raw this Monday, you're going to get a story for the WWE Championship for WrestleMania. So it's fine. I think people, surprise, get so worked up that nothing that can be done is gonna salvage what has already been created in people's mind.
Yeah. No, like I said, those surprises for me really. I did say the loser of the Bobby Lashley Brock match was going to win the Rumble, and that played out obviously. I really enjoyed Seth and Roman. The ending is a little weird, but I think that's now I think the initial thought in my head was that okay, Seth and Roman's going to be okay. This it'll end here, and then we'll move on to another story. But obviously, there's more meat on this bone, and this is probably going to end up going Elimination Chamber, probably even going to WrestleMania. I mean, I can see a scenario with Seth if they go 3-way like the last year with Bryan and Edge. I can see a scenario with Brock and Roman and Seth as a 3-way match also too. That will work. You know,
I see it. I don't know that they do it.
Right, I agree. I don't know how to do it, but I can see that playing out. I mean, not only that, you have the WrestleMania 31, kerfuffle to use as a backdrop. Remember that Seth cashed in on that Mania, so I can see that playing out at some point if they choose to go that route. So I think adding Seth to the title picture, which by the way he hasn't been a part of that in quite a while. I think it adds more intrigue now to what could happen moving forward.
I think the beauty of the way that they did the end of that match and the post match is that can get heated up at any time.
Yeah.
That's you just put it back on the burner. It'll heat up. It's going to taste great. People didn't like the DQ finish, but people are overlooking the storytelling throughout all of this. Like Seth has been prancing around telling Roman, like, you can't beat me. Your family's garbage. You're garbage. Your cousins are garbage. Your dad's garbage. Your grandpa's garbage. Your cousins are garbage. And Roman finally gets Seth in his grasp. Why does he let go? Why would he let go? He ain't gonna lose the title.
People are mad because wrestling fans today like to have a ending, a beginning and an ending right there. But
except when it's a 60-minute time limit draw on a Wednesday night.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it's cool to have like, okay, well, I'm always going to be the fan of what's better for the story.
Mm-hmm.
And while it might have been a little weird, the ending, I believe that ending is good for the overall story. That's why it didn't bother me as much.
Oh yeah, I mean, not only choking him out, but then going out and getting the chair and doing to him the same thing that he did, that Seth did to them with the Shield. And that's what I mean. Last Friday night on SmackDown, like Roman looked into Seth's eyes, and I still hate you for what you did. And Seth is out there punking Roman's family. Like this whole run is centered around Roman Reigns being the head of the famous Samoan wrestling family.
Right.
Taking his rightful spot at the top of that family. And Seth is staring him down, telling him that your family's trash, your grandpa's trash, like all of that. And Roman finally snaps. And yeah, he ain't going to lose the title if he gets disqualified. So what does it matter to him? Like he doesn't have to beat Seth. Seth has to pin him. Like, yeah. I thought the storytelling was brilliant. I loved the Shield entrance.
That was genius.
For Seth Rollins, man. It was
all head games. It was all head games.
It was so great. Like I heard, like it didn't even like register with me at first. Like I hear the Sierra Hotel, and I'm like I'm sitting there watching with the 3 count guys. Like we went over to Matt's and watched the show, and I'm like I thought somebody was like watching something on YouTube on their phone. And then I realized like, oh shit. And then like Seth comes out and like the gimmick in the crowd and like comes down, like does the roll over the barricade and everything. And I was like, man, they freaking did it. Like this is like, it's awesome. So yeah, no, I thought the show was fine. I'd probably put it in like B+ category. We've come off a lot of really good Rumbles, including last year in the Thunderdome. Was a really good Rumble show. So I don't think it quite lived up to them, but it was a good show. It was a really good show.
Yeah, I had the same thing. B plus. We wouldn't put it. It wasn't a fantastic show. Like I said, the surprises that they had hit well. The men's rumble was okay. Like whatever, it is what it is. I enjoyed the Brock and Bobby match. That was fun. Roman Seth was a great match. Um, it was a good show. It was a good show to get us started to WrestleMania season. So
I think one of the things that stuck out, and Ryan, we were talking about it on the way home, is
surprised you guys didn't do a post show like podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we had to get home. I mean, it was late. Ryan worked the next day, so unfortunately, no time for that. But like we pointed out as we were riding home, like there was not a single NXT superstar in either Rumble.
Yeah.
Like that was evident. Like it was not even like Ciampa or Dunn or people that they're like are rumored future call ups. Like nothing. There wasn't anyone from NXT. So like that divide couldn't be more real at this point.
Right. And I think seeing that and hearing the rumors about Vince and the company being disappointed in this new NXT, rebrand, the 2.0 brand, what do you call the the hippie looking whatever.
Yeah, the hippie brand, the luminescent brand.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched it. I watched the first two episodes of 2.0, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually doing Huddle Up. So maybe in the post football season world, I'll check in a little bit with it. But like, there's been nothing. There's been nothing that really has seemed to make me like grab me and tell me I need to watch it, which is unfortunate. Yeah, we did a whole segment last week about can the WWE salvage not necessarily NXT 2.0, but just NXT period. Like,
and here's the issue though, salvage what? Because we don't know what it is anymore. Like we know NXT as being the developmental brand. And in the last couple of years, it's been a little more than that. Anybody that says
it's been a third brand, like it's been a third, TV program for them.
When you make the decision to put that show on USA Network against AEW's, when their debut in 2019, you're telling me that this thing actually matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so. And now we're going backwards back to where we're supposed to be. Okay, we're scaling back now.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're shocked. You literally pulled the rug from under guys.
Yeah. There was no gradual to it. It was they ripped the Band-Aid quick.
And they're surprised that people are not watching and are disappointed.
Yeah.
Like either just admit who you are. Either you're a development brand, or B, you're a clear third brand that's a little more than developmental.
Well, but, in a way, I think that's what they've done. I think they've told us they're a developmental brand, and that's fine. In fact, I think that's in the long term game plan, that's actually smarter than what NXT had been for the last 4 or 5 years. If we're being honest, NXT didn't build WWE stars. NXT went to battle with AEW and Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling and all of that. That wasn't sustainable. That was never going to get you your next John Cena or Roman Reigns. Like it just wasn't. And as much as people wanted, now granted, like Undisputed Era could have been huge on the main roster. There's a couple of stars here and there that could have been, but let's also be honest. Like Bobby Roode was huge in NXT. Mm-hmm. Bobby Roode is just a guy on Raw or SmackDown, and there's a lot of that with what the people felt big in NXT because the people that watch NXT knew who those people were. Like they weren't, and because the stuff they were doing in NXT was basically an extension of the stuff they were doing on the indies.
Right.
Or in Impact or Ring of Honor. So I don't think that was sustainable. Now you have people that you're growing in your system and that's going through your system and theoretically should graduate to Raw or SmackDown. I think it's more sustainable in the long term.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be successful in the short term.
No.
Until people get used to the idea of when I see these people on my TV, I'm not going to know who they are. I'm going to have to learn. I'm going to have to grow with the brand.
Well, and it's the thing too for me. Like we discussed about intaking wrestling content. There's too much wrestling content as is anyway. Okay. Like if you're not, I'm already struggling. I haven't watched. Okay, so you're gonna be surprised at this now. I haven't watched Dynamite in 5 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah, and I'm an AEW supposed mark.
Right.
But it's not because I don't want to. It's just because of the fact that I don't have time now.
And
now, and I've come to the point now where I've noticed in the last couple of years since being back watching wrestling again that this is the time of year between I will say October through September, October through January. It's almost impossible for me to lock in week to week because of football.
Yep.
And not just football watching, but also you and I know better. We know this. We all do content outside of wrestling. We do football podcasts and things of that nature that take over time and preparing all that. That something's got to give sometimes. You got what 3 or 4 main shows you have on TV a week. You have obviously Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, AEW Dynamite, and then NXT. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
At some point. And
it's impossible. It's impossible to stay, to watch everything. It just is.
Oh, of course.
Podcasting life. Like I watch other TV shows, things like that. Like there's no way. Like if I don't, like I usually, while I'm prepping Huddle Up on Monday nights, I usually have Raw on. When I'm prepping 3 Count, I have AEW on, but I'm not like intently watching it, hanging on every second, by any stretch of the imagination.
And
I watched SmackDown on Friday for probably the first time in easily 6 weeks.
Right. To WWE's credit, though, they do a good job of placing that stuff for you as much as they can, whether on Instagram, whether it's on YouTube. You can if you fall behind on WWE programming, you can catch up pretty quickly.
They had videos of the first segment on Raw on their YouTube page before Raw was off the air.
Yep.
Like the opening segment was there at 10:45.
Yeah.
Like if you miss it, and that's like when people get very hung up on the ratings dog. That's why I'm like, dude, if you're only looking at TV ratings, you're doing it. Like I bet you there's probably close to 1 million views on the opening segment from Raw.
Easily.
Last night. Let me pull it up here real quick.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to bet. Let me find it. Opening segment of Raw. Brock and Bobby, 1.5 million views in less than 24 hours.
I mean,
so like
they do this correctly. They do it right.
So like you can talk that Raw had their lowest ratings ever. Yeah, 1.5 million views on that video.
Yeah.
Half 500,000 views Rollins and Kevin Owens from the KO show last night.
Yeah. I gotta be honest with you, the NXT thing, I like as much as I want to kind of watch it, I just don't have a reason to go out my way to watch it because I just don't. It's
Ronda Rousey Becky Lynch segment from the close of the show, 1.4 million views.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Those are ratings. That's money.
You don't need to watch Raw all 3 hours.
Nope.
They tell you what's going on.
Certainly do not.
AEW, and I think I know why AEW doesn't do it the same way as WWE though. AEW wants you to watch the show because they need the ratings. They're new. They need the numbers up. Keep numbers up as high as possible.
Absolutely.
With WWE's, they're now in a situation where Station 1 with the sinking ratings, USA still needs them more than they need USA.
Yeah, it's still the number one
show on cable, right? So the USA still needs them more than what I mean.
Right. So like that tells me that Raw's numbers are falling, but everybody else's are. Want to know why? Because the number of people who have cable TV in their house is falling.
Right. I mean, Fox is not. I mean, I don't know how Fox feels now. Fox probably expecting a little more than they're getting now, but they're still getting $2 million a week on Fox.
Yeah.
I
mean, SmackDown's regularly near the top on a Friday night, especially in like as right, wrong, or indifferent, the world starts opening up a bit more. People are fighting to get outside, fighting to get out of their houses, aren't staying in on a Friday night and watching wrestling, or or if they're having people over or something, they're not sitting and watching SmackDown. So like when you put a show on Friday night, you also have to, I think tamper your expectations a bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Something off the grid. I was gonna wait till the next podcast, but let's do it now. I found out from you a couple months ago that you're a fan of Stryper.
Yes, sir.
I'm surprised you knew who they are.
Ooh, I
I'm
should.
surprised they haven't been relevant in probably. I mean,
We're gonna talk about Stryper. I gotta change the lights to yellow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So no. So people don't know Stryper is a Christian metal band, rock band. What do we call it? I mean, more towards the '80s, but they're still around now.
As I say, they were like hair metal originally, and now they've kind of
but they're
changed
Christian.
their sound a bit.
But they're a Christian band. And I got to those guys back in the when I got into Christian rock heavily, especially in the late '90s. They were one of the bands I got into. Now, obviously, even back then it was a little bit dated because it again hair metal, air and all that. But man, I'm a big fan. One of the best shows I ever saw in my life. And I've been to many concerts. I'm going to see Tool next week for the record. Yeah. Stryper's one of the best shows I've ever seen. I saw them in 2003 with an old buddy of mine. And I thought they were fantastic.
That the Reborn tour?
Yeah, they came. Yeah, I believe that's the one where it was the first tour in a while. And
now, was that they had it? That was the one with the different bassists, right?
No. Oz came back. No, Oz. Is Oz? No,
Tim was the bassist.
Tim Gaines. Yeah, Tim Gaines came.
Because there was a tour they did with Tim, and then they did an album, and then Tim had left the band, but then he came back for a little while. Now he's back out of the band.
All four guys are there. All four guys were in the band.
Okay, so it was the four originals. Yeah, because I've seen them twice. I've seen them once with the originals, and then I saw them one time with I think it was Terry was the bassist at that time.
Okay. No, I was surprised you were a big Stryper fan. I was really pleasantly surprised.
Dude, it was okay. So, I know you're gonna you shit on this because you're wrong, but Kiss is my favorite band.
Sucks. Next question.
So I discovered Kiss when I was in somewhere between 8th and 9th grade because I was in drumline in high school, and my percussion instructor was a huge Kiss fan. None of the other guys in drumline liked him, so he's like, "Dude, you got to check him out." Hands me a couple CDs, like, "Go home, listen to him, check him out." And like I put him in, and like I don't know, because I mean at that point I had heard Rock and Roll All Night, and I had heard probably Shout It Out Loud. But like I never heard any other Kiss's music. I mean, like I don't know what it was, man. It just hit me right. I own every Kiss album. I own multiple Kiss records, vinyl. So I've seen them 10 times, I believe.
Really?
Since 2000. Yeah.
Wow. You're that fan. Okay.
Dude, fucking love them. But like, my parents are sitting there and they're like, not that Kiss is bad, but they're like, I used to be big into Christian music. I mean, DC Talk, Michael W. Smith, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Carmen, all.
I saw Carmen before live.
Yeah, I saw he did the one tour he did. It was free. Like they asked you to like give donations.
Was it the Riot tour?
Yes,
I was there. 95, 96. I think it was.
Yeah, the show in Hershey. My family and I went to that. Like, I used to go to Creation Fest every year because it's just a couple hours west of where I live. So
he died last year.
Who did?
Carmen died last year. You know that?
Oh shit! Really? You know what? I may have known that. Okay. I feel like I may have known that.
I even mentioned on this podcast one time. I was running through a rundown of things to talk about, and that was one of the things I had on my list.
You know what? Yeah, that was almost a year ago. It was in February. You're right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You think he was a Trumper?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, probably. I feel like there's a lot of old white Christian guys that are, so maybe. But anyway, so like the summer of 2003, summer of 2000, we were on vacation, family vacation. We were like out at Mall of America, and like my dad and my parents, they kept telling, you got to check out this Stryper band. Like they're kind of almost like they pitched it to me this way. And like they're not really, but they kind of pitched it to me as like the Christian Kiss. So like we're out there at Mall of America. Like there's a huge, I think it was like Virgin Mega Store, or the Wall, or whatever the hell the big music store was at the time. So I found 2 Stryper albums. I found To Hell with the Devil, and I found their greatest hits. And they were on sale. So I was like, it was funny, and it is a great sales pitch of a kid. Like I got an allowance, but I said to my parents, I said, well, if you want me to listen to them so bad, then you buy them. That's the deal. You buy them, I'll listen to them.
You buy.
And man, like the whole way home from Minnesota on the car ride, man, I had that going in my CD player. I fell in love with them instantly. Bought all the albums.
What was regular on first?
What's that?
What was the album you put on first? The album.
Hell with the Devil. I decided I would just go. Actually, you know what? I think I did the greatest hits, because I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna give this band a try, because I did kind of the same thing like when I discovered like Motley Crue and like really kind of quote unquote dug into Aerosmith a bit. Like if you start with a greatest hits record that is more than what you hear on the radio, but isn't like the deep cuts, I think that's your best way to play it. Mm-hmm. Because then like if you establish a like for the band, mm-hmm. and then you dig into the albums, I think you'll appreciate them more. And that's what I did with Stryper. And yeah, saw them, like I said, in a club in Lancaster. I think that was with the original 4. We bought like the VIP thing, so we got to come in for like sound check and like do a Q&A thing with them.
Right.
And then I saw him again in Allentown a couple of years later. Freaking love him. Actually, this is a cool story.
Okay.
Michael W. Smith. Michael Sweet had released a solo album, because like that guy is probably one of the hardest working people in music.
Yes, he is.
Because he does Stryper, he does that stuff. He did Boston for a while. Like that guy never stops going. But he released a solo album, and he had announced that he was going to do a solo acoustic tour of churches. And so like my parents at the time were on staff at our church. And I said, why don't we contact his booking people and try and get him to come play here? We had just redone our sanctuary auditorium, whole new sound system and everything. So sure enough, we bring freaking Michael Sweet in, and like had dinner with him, hosted him, all of this. One of the most genuine people I have ever met in my life. The guy is super down to earth. Even the funnier thing was like one of our like worship leaders at the church, like his band was gonna like open the show.
Right.
But like he had the full band, and like here's Michael Sweet, like traveling around the world doing the Stryper thing, all of this, and he was like, look, I'm doing acoustic stuff. Like if you go out there and like hammer with your band, how am I supposed to take over and like sit here and do acoustic stuff? So he's like, why don't I play first, and then like I'll hang out, and then you guys can play after, and then I'll do like meet and greet autograph stuff after. So he's like, I won't even like go out. And that was like I thought was really cool, because he's like, he could have easily opened, done the meet and greet. Everybody in the church probably would have left and like not paid attention to the opening band, but Michael sat right there in the front row, watched the band play, and then did his meet and greet stuff.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Favorite album? Any favorite album of yours? I'm torn.
I mean, I'm partial to Hell with the Devil, because it was the first one for me that I listened to. I've got to pull up the full discography to really to look at it.
Mine is In God We Trust. Now, I do go back and forth with the one after that, Against All Odds, because that was kind of their like the album that kind of went a little more secular. They got heavily criticized for that in the Christian community, but their sound on the album is really good though. The sound sonically sounds great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to go listen to Stryper after we do this.
Who would have thought it's a black guy on this podcast that listens to Stryper and Anson knows his shit too.
Oh, I mean, I was shut like when I like first met you, and then I found out like how big of like a metalhead and like Metallica guy and shit you are. I was like, huh, really? How about that?
Yeah,
yeah, but dude, even like even some of their newer albums.
Yeah.
Like I thought No More Hell to Pay was really good. I thought even Murder by Pride was pretty good.
Oh wait, my bad. I have to correct myself. It wasn't against all odds. It's against the law.
Against the Law. Goddamn Evil. The most recent one. Well, actually, I guess the most recent one, Even the Devil Believes. Like they just keep pumping out music, man, and like they're still doing it. But yeah, I would. I mean, In God We Trust, Against the Law, both really good. But I would probably. Man, Soldiers Under Command, such a good album too.
Is
I'd probably still go to Hell with the Devil. I think just.
But that is the breakthrough hit. That is the breakthrough mainstream hit. I mean, the song Honestly, of course, was huge, and Calling on You, and yeah, that was the breakthrough hit. I have
that one. That's the one that
MTV.
Yeah, that's the one that opened with no, which is the one that opened with the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Is that their first album? No.
That's the first album, I think. Oh, the second one.
Soldiers. I think that's Soldiers.
Yeah. They got a good discography.
I thought that's the last track on Soldiers. That's right. But yeah, that's solid too. But yeah, I'll go with To Hell with the Devil. It's the first album of theirs that I dug into.
Right.
Loved it.
So for me, like, if it was like to me, like, I typically don't care for hair metal. I'm more into balls to the wall, like Pantera, Metallica, you know what I mean? But what saved me for this band, though, because I'm like, Michael Sweet's a fantastic vocalist, but the style isn't something I would prefer to listen to, like the hair metal. It was the music, it was the band, how tight they sounded. Robert Sweet on drums is fucking.
Dude, that guy is a monster.
Yes, he is. He's
monster. Watching him play is so much fun.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and I think that's what saved it for me. That backbeat, that low end of the band was incredible, and I think that's what saved it for me. Because vocally, while I agree, Michael Sweet's a great vocalist, it's not the style I particularly run towards.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're not into that, that's a hard ask.
It's borderline cornballish for me, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love against the law. I love in God We Trust, my favorite album. Obviously, that song itself was really good.
Yeah, man. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to dig into some of their like newer stuff, at all,
did the album The Reborn? I think which one was it? The one 2013, but not heavily into their.
Yeah, I would look at the stuff from it was like 2016, 2018. I haven't had a chance to listen to the most recent one. But like Goddamn Evil was really good, and it's a very different sound than you're used to with Stryper. Right. It's not old school Stryper. They've morphed, they've changed, and they've grown, and I think they're working on a new album now as well. Like they just keep going.
And the same guys, right? Same four.
No. The bass has changed.
Tim's on again.
Yeah, Tim, I don't know. He got a little weird. I don't know what happened there with them. I forget the guy that's playing with them now. I got to look it up. That plays with them now. Perry Richardson. He had played in Firehouse until the year 2000.
Okay.
But yeah, that's who's with him now. He's solid. So
yeah, he left in 2017. Let me see if we can say anything here about why he left the band. Okay, so he had a toxic relationship with the band. Let's see if they get some details here.
Yeah, I forget. They did a fairly decent job, I think, at kind of keeping it tight-lipped. Like, I know publicly, like people tried to ask like Robert and Michael about it, and they're just like, "Look, we're not gonna badmouth the guy or anything like that, but it's just a business relationship that just kind of went done."
So I guess he got a divorce, which is taboo in Christianity, I guess. This is his words. I guess because he got divorced, people were critical of that. Although the band says no, that wasn't the reason why. It's
there's speculation and things.
I'll send you the link. I'm reading up here.
So cool. Yeah.
Last thing, but you go. Another thing I discovered with you the last year or so, on we actually touched on it a little bit on the Take 3 Wrestling podcast, but you're a pretty big Real World fan also.
Oh my God, yeah, love it.
You still watch now?
Yeah. I mean, if they did new seasons of The Real World, like I would still watch them.
So I stopped in 2000, like officially stopped 2004 ish.
Oh no, I watched them all the way through the most recent whatever year.
To me, their peak years for me is between San Francisco '94 all the way to Vegas in 2002. That's their peak years, dude.
Like, I started watching season 8, which was Hawaii.
Oh yeah, I love Hawaii. Hawaii is what hooked me actually. And
Yeah.
it was 1 year. I was 19 years old. I was home for the summer, and they back in the day, they would do marathons. If they were doing a new season or whatever, they would do marathons of old season and stuff.
Yes.
So what I would do, I got into the Hawaii season, which at the time was currently on, and I was like, this is fun, and it will keep replaying it. So I started recording it on VHS, and then I started doing these marathons. And I started recording all the old seasons and stuff. Like I recorded Boston, I recorded Miami, I recorded Seattle, and then like I don't know, I just got addicted to it after a while.
Yeah, I loved it. I 1999. That's when Hawaii came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was
19,
between 8th and 9th grade. So like you couldn't at that point, in a kid's life, you want to put pretty girls on a TV in Hawaii. I'm hooked. You don't have to do a whole lot more, and it's cheesy and stupid and like the drama and all of that. Like it was it was a perfect storm to hook me in. You know what I mean? And so like at that point, after that point, like, hey, new season of The Real World, perfect. Gonna keep watching. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's such a guilty pleasure. Like I don't watch like Big Brother, Amazing Race, or any of that kind of stuff.
Friends of mine do though.
I watch, like I said, if they did new seasons of The Real World, I would watch them. We watched The Challenge, and I watch like I watch like the wrestling reality shows. That's the only reality stuff that I watch. But yeah, I would still watch The Real World. Absolutely freaking love it.
Favorite season?
Oh man, that's hard. Vegas was real good.
Vegas is probably the best ones to this day. It's probably the most popular one. It's probably the hottest cast too. The chicks are oh my god. That's the one. And that doesn't sound like a fucking toxic masculinist, but that's the one season where every female on the cast was like in my opinion 10 or above. Every single one.
Yeah, because that was Trishelle,
Shell, Anissa,
Bryn, and Irulan.
And Irulan, yeah. I loved Irulan. I love Irulan.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was what? I was
2.
So Bryn probably
Bryn was a hottie.
Bryn was a hottie. And Frank was from a town not far from me. He was from Lewisburg, PA, which is less than 2 hours from me. So like that was kind of cool. Like
wasn't Frank like he was I remember who he is, but he was like from a small town, and
they almost like pitched him as like an Amish boy, which which he like wasn't, but like he was, conservative, high strung kind of.
And it really quickly got to Vegas, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I loved Hawaii just because again, that was the first one that I watched.
I think the underrated ones, honestly, that's getting enough love in my opinion. Like I think Boston's underrated. I think Miami's underrated. I think Seattle's underrated. Obviously San Francisco gets all the love because that was probably the biggest outside Vegas because of Pedro Zamora and all that, and the first person with AIDS,
right,
which and all that kind of thing, But it was actually a very fantastic season. In terms of the way they cast people. Like you had the super conservative Rachel. Not Rachel. Is it Rachel? No. It's Rachel. She's on Fox News still. She married the guy. She actually married a guy on the Boston season, Sean. I think it is Rachel actually.
Okay.
And he was a senator for a long time in Wisconsin. But she's an ultra conservative Catholic, and then she's rooming with I think it was a Judd, who was a far left liberal, marries the other girl on the cast also too, who's also liberal. You have obviously Pedro and his situation and him being gay and all that, and then you have Puck who's starting shit up everybody. That's probably it's just a dynamic. San Francisco's probably I don't know if you've seen it before. It's probably the best season ever.
Yeah, that's one I don't think that was before I started watching it. So like that's one where I feel like I need to steal
Have
some.
you watched anything before Hawaii?
I want to say I think I might have watched New York, maybe one of the marathons.
Like New York, or because New York was the first one. They went back to New York in 10 years with Mrs. That, of course.
Well, I watched Back to New York as it aired live. I think I saw the New York on like a marathon before one of the newer seasons.
It was New York, LA, London.
Yeah. So like I think it'd be fun to like get Paramount Plus and dig back into.
So my biggest issue at Paramount Plus right now, and it's been a problem with MTV for a long time, is that they have the first 4 seasons, then they skip the next fucking like I think 8.
Really?
Yeah. So they take out the seasons that I want the most.
So I couldn't even see Hawaii if I go dig into that, huh?
I'm gonna check right now again and see who's still there, because if they rectify that problem, because and with no explanation why. I don't understand why.
I don't know if maybe there was a contract dispute with something or someone. But like some of the other seasons that I liked, I remember from some of the earlier ones was Chicago. Think about that. Fucking Kyle Brandt, like Good Morning Football.
Yep.
Was on damn Real World.
That's right.
That's where we got introduced to Anissa. That's right. I forgot that one.
Anissa was in that one too. Well, yeah, Kara.
It was Kara, Carrie, Kyle, Anissa, Tanya, Chris, Kara, Theo.
Yeah, so they have season 1 through 4. Then they skip 5 through 11.
Oh man.
12 is Vegas.
Well, at least Vegas is on there.
And I'm going on the internet trying to figure out why don't you have the other seasons? What's the reason why?
That makes sense. I'm glad I know that. And I'll never pay for Paramount Plus. I might just find somebody with it. Try to watch some of them.
It was my mom.
Yeah. But I know some of like the last couple of seasons they did it kind of jumped the shark, because they were trying to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought like it was kind of clever but kind of cheesy at the same time. Like one of the seasons I think was like Secret X's. It was like Real World Secret X's.
Mm-hmm.
So like you had the 7 people and they're in the house and they like take them on like a 3-day vacation. And during the 3-day vacation, they move their exes into the house with them. And then they get back and it's, hey, all of our exes are here. So now you have like 14 people, all of which whom have like dated each other at some point. So like I get what they were trying to do, but I'm like, man, it kind of defeats the purpose. And like I remember some of those early seasons, like people had to like get jobs where they were working. Like MTV wasn't like just letting them like, you know what I mean? Like they had to actually like go like get jobs and shit in the city they were in.
I think that started.
Kind of lost some of that.
I think that started probably in the I want to say it's the Miami season, where they actually the Miami season they had to put together a project and like put together a fashion company, and it fell through. It never happened. They were given money to do it, and it fell through. And I think the Boston year in '97 was they were like basically like aftercare center, child care center, like taking care of kids.
Yeah, so like. It kind of jumped the shark a little bit. So like I don't even know if you could like in a social media world, like in just kind of the way the world is, I don't know if you could ever go back to like here's 7 people in a house and then like they have to get jobs and like be able to afford living in like doing stuff in their city and stuff like that. And like so I don't know if like actually utilizing the initial kind of concepts of the real world would even work for today's like reality TV landscape. I don't know if it would.
Did I tell you Amaya from Hawaii blocked me?
What?
Yeah. I don't know why either.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything to her. She just brought me like. Hold on, I'm trying to see if she's on Twitter still now. She's a.
That's hilarious.
Let me see. She's on IG though. But,
Now, do you ever watch the challenge like as it airs
I'm
now?
not a big fan personally of it. I watched some of it. Hold on, she still blocked me. Hold on. Amaya says.
That her Twitter, Amaya says.
That's a Twitter. Yep, still blocked. Look at that. Even though I don't even follow her. See? I can see it. Probably can't see it.
Oh yeah, I'm not blocked by her.
Well, fuck you, man. I mean, I can go to my my podcast network Twitter page and probably check.
She got her Wordle in two words today. I'm gonna follow her just because.
I may have asked her to come on the podcast maybe one time. I'm not sure. Years ago, but I never really spoke to her. I don't know why she's blocking me. Maybe she's racist.
So she shared an article. Bill Maher amused the right is urging him to run for president. She tweeted, "Just a reminder, this POS actively tried to go on a date with me when I was 16 and he was 38."
Really?
That's what she said.
Let me check this shit out. Hold on. Hold on. Let me check this crap out real quick. Let me see. Amaya. I'm on my other account now. Let me see, because she can't block me there. Got it. The media personality. She only has 3,900 followers. Wow. Big Jim follows her. Followed by Big Jim.
Yeah. Big Jim follows her now. That's true.
Like she. Do you consider her hot?
I mean,
attractive.
Yeah, I mean, I found her attractive back in the day. I mean, I just rediscovered her this minute, so I can't really pass judgment on that. But yeah, I'm following Amaya from The Real World Hawaii.
Oh.
Small world.
I had a little thing. I had a little thing for who's the girl on the other girl, Kaya. I had a little thing for her.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, she's a weirdo.
I can see that.
Favorite cast member? Where'd you go?
Oh well, I mean,
all time. I'm saying this one, this season, this all time.
I mean, can I say The Miz?
I mean, yeah, he was pretty cool actually, though.
You know what? Honestly, like if it sticks out, and maybe it's because, of all the years that I've watched the challenge, like Johnny Bananas, he was Real World, right? Or yeah, he was Real World.
World Rules.
He was Real World Key West, season 17.
I thought it was Road Rules.
Yeah, no, he was Real.
I was never a Road Rules guy, actually, to be honest. Try to get into it, never really got into it.
Yeah, I never was. Yeah, his first appearance was Real World, 17th season of Real World in 2006. He's obviously more known on the challenge. I would probably go Bananas, and again, probably because of the challenge. Like he was such a dick, and it never mattered. Like I remember one season on the Real World, they got paired with, it was Rivals, I think, one of the Rivals seasons. So his partner and him like didn't get along, and they get to the end of the season, and it was revealed after they won that because Bananas had the better times,
right,
that he got to decide if he would keep the $1 million for himself or split it with his partner who ran the final with him, and split it 500K, and he kept all the money because he hated, like him and his partner hated each other. Like, and she even during the final was like talking about the fact that like he was a piece of shit and she hated him and all of that. So like he was like, fuck you, I'm taking all the money. I don't think she has been on the she hadn't never returned to the challenge.
Okay.
That. But yeah, so I would probably go Bananas. Honorable mention The Miz. How about you?
I was a fan of Tech.
Yeah, I like Tech.
I thought he'd been a big star. I mean, he's still fairly relevant now, but
he was what in Van Wilder.
Yeah, but he never really broke.
He had a bit of a run there for a little bit.
But he didn't break through the way I thought he would break through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tech was cool though. Tech was like just the party guy in the tank, you know. I liked him. He was cool. I'm actually following him now on Instagram.
Very nice.
And Amaya too as well.
Yeah, when we're done here, I'm gonna go listen to Stryper and follow old Real World castmates.
The nostalgia on Earnestly podcast is real.
On the MTV Real World.
Plug away, here you go.
All right, of course, for me, Twitter at Big Jim Sports is the best way to go if you want to see me yell violently through a computer screen at sports and referees. You can do that at Big Jim Sports. Tuesday night Huddle Up podcast, obviously with football winding down. We're not going to be doing weekly. It's going to be episode every couple of weeks probably. I have some ideas. I think it's going to morph into like pretty much just like one discussion topic. Like, for example, what's the one I wrote down? And I always have to keep these in the notes because otherwise I would just forget them.
Yeah.
Like if you could add any player to your favorite team from any sport, all sport, like you don't have to pick like a single sport, who would it be? So like if you'd be like, man, I'm a Cowboys fan, I want Tom Brady.
Of course.
You could like, well, I mean, I guess now you couldn't because he's retired. So like active players. So like I could be like, well, I want Patrick Mahomes as a Cowboy, that sort of a deal. So like we're just gonna come together, talk about that one topic, any little sidebars that we like to take. That's gonna be the episode for that week. That's kind of what we're gonna do in the off season. Just kind of like one topic every couple of weeks. Just have a little bit of fun with it. We'll check in on current events too. Like if around draft time, we'll look at that. There's big coaching news. Any we'll talk about playoffs and things like that, different sports as they come up. But that's the deal there. So you can do Twitter, Facebook at Huddle Up Podcast. Hit the link tree on all of those. All my podcasts, everything, we have link trees. So that'll take you to podcasts, YouTube, all of that stuff, merchandise. 3 Count Thursday, obviously Thursday nights we go live, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Pro wrestling, we do our wrestler of the week and topics and discussions there. 3CountThursday.com. That's where you'll find everything 3 Count related.
Yep. Should be fun times, I'm sure.
Always good. Always good.
Thanks, Jim, for coming to the podcast as always. It's been a long time.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Good job.